It's been over 2.5 years since we last saw Quicksilver walk side by side with the Avengers, and there hasn't been any signs hinting at his return in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That doesn't mean he won't show up in any future movies though. I'm just saying that Marvel really knows how to play dead better than that old yeller dog. But the last Phase 3 MCU films got me thinking about how things would have been different had Marvel not killed their only speedster. What if he were faster than Mach 4, he got Hawkeye and that kid out of the way in time, and brought down Ultron together with the Avengers alive and well? More importantly, how would his survival affect the events that took place in Civil War and the upcoming Avengers Infinity War? Well, before we jump ahead of ourselves, let's think how things would have played out. Had he outrun the Gatling gun, his sister wouldn't have left her post. She would have never raged or be emotionally damaged. Legit, she was looking more emotionally damaged than you when you found out WWE was fake. Oh yeah, spoiler alert. This would have made it a whole lot easier for the team to save the day as well. Granted, the city was still set to blow to bits, but the Ultron bot that activated the descent of Sokovia would have never made it past Wanda. Skipping to the end, Quicksilver would have been a proud member of the Avengers, standing beside his sister, War Machine, Vision, and Falcon, with all of them looking at Cap for him to pull a fast one on the audience by getting cut off before he said Avengers Assemble. The film Age of Ultron as a whole, however, would lose a sense of loss to it. The audience might have had a more negative reaction because Ultron would have just been another one-note villain who barely left a scratch on the Avengers, as none of them were even killed. That's unless you didn't care for the loss of this version of Quicksilver, in which case the movie wouldn't be any different for you really. Still, Sokovia, the country itself, was set to blow. It was like miles above the ground. It didn't seem possible to gently lay the landmass back into its slot like a puzzle piece. The Avengers were gonna blow it up anyways. That's pretty much all of the change would have done to the second Avengers movie. But its impact would have been greater in Captain America Civil War. Had he survived, the new Avengers probably wouldn't have had such a tough time subduing Crossbones. He isn't nearly as fast as the X-Men Quicksilver, but he was still faster than the speed of sound. They'd be in and out of the mission before they knew it. Crossbones wouldn't have had the chance to detonate the bomb, cause all Pietro gotta do is run up to him super fast, touch him with a fist, and he'd be out like NyQuil, my dude. But here's the thing though, that still might have not prevented the enactment of the Sokovia Accords. The whole reason why it was created in the MCU was because of the civilian casualties from the whole "the city is gonna explode" shtick throughout their movies. But counting up all those as shown in Civil War, from New York to Washington DC to Sokovia, even without the Lagos explosion, that would have amounted to a total number of 274 people dead. The government was already looking into establishing something to keep these Party City folks in check. That's not even taking into account Iron Man's whole motive in the whole thing either. The main reason why Marvel got to capitalize on that whole was because Tony felt completely responsible for the creation of Ultron, the death of many, and even the forthcoming quote-unquote death of the Avengers. None of that could have been prevented by Pietro stopping the Lagos incident, as everything that got Iron Man up in arms was everything that happened prior to that event. Tony would have still pushed for it, leading to the division of the team, and everything plays out the way it should. Peggy Carter dies, Steve attends the funeral, Black Widow goes to Vienna for the ratification of the Accords, T'Challa's dad still dies, and Bucky gets hunted down. But there'd be somewhat of an impactful scenario switch-up if this was the case. This would affect the part when Cap meets up with Tony for the first time after being sort of arrested. Tony talks about how fancy his life is and how things would be even dandier if he signed the Accords. But here's the thing. Wanda wouldn't be under house arrest. If the Crossbones incident was prevented by Quicksilver, then no one would have any reason to have Scarlet Witch restrained. So where these three could be varies. They could have still been at Avengers headquarters, protecting the base or something. They could have went out for candy, or the twins could have still been under house arrest because Quicksilver really didn't do anything to stop the blast. How Vision would keep this guy inside is beyond me. Pretty sure he's faster than Vision. Bottom line is, I don't think they would have been at the place where the gang were having disputes at because 1. Rhodey wasn't there, so maybe they were with him. 2. From a filmmaking standpoint, it probably would have taken away from the focus on the tension between Steve and Tony. Since the three most OP characters aren't there to subdue a mind-controlled Bucky, Zemo breaks him out, Black Panther, Captain America, Iron Man, Falcon, Black Widow, and Agent 13 try to hold him back, and they get wrecked. Steve and Sam would have still gotten through to him, and we still would have had that
"But I'm not the only Winter Soldier"
speech, and the most iconic superhero cameos since the universe's existence. It's no denying that Quicksilver would have sided with Cap. He would never side against his sister. She's his only family left. On top of that, he doesn't really like Tony. Even though it wasn't his fault, it was Stark Tech that killed the Maximoff's parents.
You lost your parents in the bombings.
The first shell hits 2 floors below, it makes a hole in the floor. Roll under the bed, and the second shell hits, and on the side of the shell, it's painted one word: Stark.
And lastly, he might be that one overprotective brother who doesn't approve of his sister going down on a rainbow-colored iPhone. It'd probably look weird though with him having super speed and all. This running at the same pace to each other would be all over the place. We'd probably get more cool battle scenes among other heroes going against him, though they'd probably nerf him a bit because he'd be too fast. They'd probably play on his cockiness and how he can be such a klutz. Then, action, 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 boom! Cap and Bucky spot the Quinjet they need to escape in, and Quicksilver easily runs them two over to the plane. This would avoid the whole confrontation with Black Widow, Romanoff wouldn't have betrayed Black Panther, and T'Challa probably wouldn't have tattled on her to Ross. Meaning she wouldn't have had to hide with Cap and dye her hair white like we saw in the Infinity War trailer. Pietro probably wouldn't have boarded the plane with them, as he'd probably want to be around his sister to protect her, and hold the hooligans off a little while longer for them to escape. And at the end of the day, though Quicksilver is faster than Vision, Vision is much more powerful in terms of strength. Team Iron Man would have been delayed for a little longer, but it would only be a matter of time before Pietro got in over his head, and Team Iron Man would have got him on the ropes. Thus, Civil War plays out like it's supposed to. Tony finds out the truth that Zemo was the one who sabotaged T'Challa's dad. Iron Man, Buck, and Cap confront Zemo. Tony finds out what happened to his parents. He goes ham on the other two but still loses, and Black Panther apprehends Zemo. So really, had Quicksilver survived the events of Age of Ultron, it would have resulted in a less impactful ending for the second Avengers film as a whole, and the prevention of the Lagos-Wanda accident. But other than that, Civil War would have more or less been the same. Sure, there would have been a few scenario switch-ups, but beat for beat, the movie would have stayed relatively the same. It still would have been our first intro to Black Panther and Spider-Man, the Sokovia Accords would have still been enacted, and Tony and Steve would have brawled it out by the end of the third act. And now that Avengers Infinity War is just a few months away, who knows what's to come. Maybe he may come back somehow in the film, or maybe not. Only time will tell. Anyways, people, that's all I've got today. I know there are gonna be tons of people saying how this is just a video made up of assumptions and BS. But I mean, if you clicked on this video, you already knew from the title alone that this was gonna be based on assumptions and BS. So, I wanna know, would you have liked to see Quicksilver make it out alive in Age of Ultron? Or did you like the fact that he bit the dust in that movie? Comment below your thoughts, and if you really like this video, then be sure to tap that like and subscribe button. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And for more of my videos, just click right here.